Good evening and welcome to the College and Community Fellowship 20th Anniversary Gala. My name is Christina Greer and I'm honored to be your host tonight. I'm a professor of political science and the author of Black Ethnics, Race, Immigration, and the Pursuit of the American Dream. It's 2020, a year none of us could have imagined. Tonight, we are gathered around screens instead of together in person. But even this is a powerful example that community isn't defined by our obstacles, but rather our commitment to keep building together, no matter what. If you are new to the work of the College and Community Fellowship, welcome. You are in for a dose of hope tonight. And for those of you who CCF has been a home base, welcome back. This work is for you, and this work is you. So on this 20th anniversary in 2020, it's more than fitting that we bring you 20 stories that capture the incredible work of CCF over the years. Before we begin tonight's program, I want to remind us all about why this trailblazing organization has been such an important pillar for so many. We all know that access to higher education is not equal, particularly to women of color, and even less so for those impacted by the criminal legal system. Barbara Martinsons understood that too. Back in 2000, Barbara was a professor at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility Women's Prison. She saw day in and day out the obstacles to women in getting their degrees completed before getting released, and she knew she had to change the paradigm. The program started with 10 women. Barbara and a rag team of supporters ensured that these women earned their college degrees, removing obstacles and encouraging them to the finish line. They believed no matter what your past or why you were in the system, that every single person deserves access to learning, a chance to spark our imaginations, and grow. In May 2001, when CCF hosted their very first annual graduation ceremony and celebrated 4 incredible graduates, Rhonda White, Madeline Acosta, Midalia Martinez, and Angela Scott. From there, the vision was set. Today, CCF serves over 650 people, continuing to focus on assisting women with criminal justice histories to earn college degrees. And it's so much more than just a degree. It's helping women achieve the dreams they had for themselves long before they ever came in contact with the criminal legal system. As we will learn about tonight, the work of CCF has expanded into 3 primary program areas: college and career, policy and advocacy, and Thrive technical assistance. As CCF's fearless leader, Vivian Nixon, says, "Our concern is to revisit the person that has the potential to be anything they wanted to be before whatever events occurred in their lives that led them to prison. That's where we start." We'll continue to hear more stories of these past years, but first, I want to welcome Mahogany L. Brown to bless us with some poetry as we kick off tonight's program. Mahogany is an NAACP Outstanding Literary Works nominee. She also serves as the Artistic Director of Urban Word NYC and the Program Director of Black Lives Matter Pratt. She has brought power work to the Nuyorican Poets Cafe Friday as a Night Slam curator and is also the publisher of Penmanship Books. Let's welcome Mahogany Brown.
My name is Mahogany L. Brown, and this poem is called The Ritual. So wherever you are, plant both of your feet so your heels touch the ground. Put your hands on your knees and take a deep breath in. Hold that breath, then exhale. Let go of all the doubt. And this poem, Ritual, is really about how we prepare to seize the day, how we walk into the world. A lot of us are carrying a lot of armor just to assure we get home safely. So I hope this helps, and thank you for listening. Today you will. Today you choose. Today is yours. Today is only today. Tomorrow ain't here yet, so slow down. Slow down. Breathe softly. Breathe slowly. Breathe for the homies that ain't here. Breathe for the homies that is. Breathe for your own good skin, your smile, your you. Come back. Come back. Come back to yourself. Look at your cheekbones. Look at the loft of your eyebrows. Look at this magical shimmer, you so worthy. You so heavy in your weight of yes, you so necessary, you so fly. You wet the water, you cool the brow, you heat the skillet, you the sunset and the sustenance. You keep them chasing the sparks you leave. Today you will, and today you choose. And today is yours, yes, today is only today. Because tomorrow ain't here yet, so slow down. Slow down. Breathe softly, slowly. Breathe for the homies that ain't here. Breathe for the kin that is. Breathe for your own good skin. Your skin, your smile, your tribe, your you. Come back. Come back. Come back to yourself. Miraculous stargaze. Most fortunate starbeam. Beyond brilliant, be your resilience, but you knew that already. Who told you any different? You tell them, today you will. And today you choose. And today is yours, yes, today is only today. Because tomorrow ain't here yet, so slow down. Slow down. Breathe softly. Slowly, breathe for the homies that ain't here. Breathe for the kin that is. Breathe for your own good skin. Your skin, smile, tribe, you. Come back, come back, come back to yourself. Galaxy of women, wonder of human, but you knew that already. Who told you any different? Anything that don't heighten your stride, leave it today. Anything that don't strengthen your heart, leave it today. Anything that don't propel your wingspan forward, leave it today. Whoever told you you wasn't fly, whoever told you you wasn't strong, whoever told you you wasn't brilliant, whoever told you you wasn't beautiful, is a lie. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahogany. We need powerful words and messengers in this time. As Mahogany said, today you will. Today you choose. Today is yours.
The Center for the Study of Women and Society at CUNY Graduate Center donates office space to CCF. Professor Patricia T. Clough, the center's director, started a seminar for select CCF students. The group called themselves CLEAR. That stood for Community, Leadership, and Education after reentry. They discussed critical theories that were at the intersection of race, gender, higher education, and prisoner reentry. They wrote and published an article titled Life Capacity Beyond Reentry. It was placed in the Journal of Race and Ethnicity. The Theater for Social Change comprises formerly incarcerated women who write and perform original pieces about their experiences with incarceration and education. It is a powerful tool for public education. Over the years, they've performed at dozens of places, including the New Eurekan Cafe and many national conferences, including the Kellogg Annual Conference, in prisons and many college campuses. Vivian Nixon first came to work at CCF as an organizer in 2004. She received a Soros Justice Fellowship in 2005. And so she took a break and teamed up with some of the nation's premier justice advocates. During her time at Soros, Vivian had the opportunity to expand her vision of possibilities for CCF and the women it serves. And in 2006, she returned to CCF as executive director.
Even in these early days, it was clear that CCF was blazing a new trail. It's often said at CCF, our work isn't transactional, it's transformational. And tonight, we want to continue to highlight stories of transformation and hope. CCF believes, and what we all know to be true, women are the backbone of societies. Vivian has often said that women raise the next generation of leaders. Investment in education in our women means investment in the future of the communities, period. Next, we get the powerful testimonies of women who earned their college degrees with the support of CCF following their incarceration. These women represent dozens of stories like them that have come through CCF's doors. Let's listen now to the experiences of 3 incredible women.
Hi, my name is Yolanda Johnson-Peterkin, and I am on the board of College and Community Fellowship. But guess what? I am also an alum for over 20 years, the whole entire 20 years at College and Community Fellowship. I am proud and want to say congratulations to CCF today. Now, how did I become involved with College and Community Fellowship? I was invited to dinner with Wendy 20 years ago, and she encouraged me to go to college. And I said to her, I'm not going to college. I don't even think I'm smart enough. And she said, absolutely. Women must go to college. We must get out there and further our education. So she convinced me to fill out an application for my associates at Borough Manhattan Community College, where I was accepted. Now, I only took a few classes at first because I didn't know whether or not I would be able to handle it. But after a while, I had a full schedule. I graduated with my associates in human services and went on to a private college in Springfield, Massachusetts for my bachelor's in human services as well. Now, in that journey, I definitely stayed connected to College and Community Fellowships meetings, and I also started the support group for the women who were going to college, raising children, and having difficult classes like research along the journey. So we started going out and really coming together in order to support one another as we made it through college. We were very small then, 8 women. After that, we also started a writing group on the weekends, and through that process, a lot of us are still sisters today. But that wasn't enough. College and Community Fellowship got new leadership, and they also encouraged us to keep going. So I went and I applied for Hunter College for my master's in social work. That journey was also supported all the way by College and Community Fellowship. Now, around the 10th year of College and Community Fellowship, we realized that they were doing a lot more with women, and women had a lot more opportunities. And as the years went by, now we know at the 20th year, they have a stellar opportunity for teaching and training, development, mentoring, and working with second generation to make sure the next generation does not have to come through poverty and get an education, because we know that education is key. But in that journey, I know that College and Community Fellowship has worked really, really hard to help individuals as they walk through this pace and to make sure that our journey is a solid journey. We are proud to be at College and Community Fellowship students and alum, and we are proud that we are celebrating our 20th year. Now, it has not been easy, but we have made it happen. Now, don't forget that each one of us have criminal justice history. It wouldn't matter what we did in our past. What matters is the degrees that we have now in our future. That was part of the reason why I think I had the opportunity to be the Chief of Housing and Community Development in New York City Housing Authority, where I'm the chief that helps individuals who have criminal justice history move back in with their family in public housing, which is unprecedented in New York. And guess what? We also led to the conversation across the nation. And that would not have happened if I didn't have my sisters pushing and making sure that we always are striving for bigger and better. And we still are doing that. But did I talk to you a little bit about our lead? She is a sister and a friend, and she's holding the reins right now. That is our executive director, and not only her, the team at CCF, and also the board of CCF, the students of CCF, and all who are supportive. We thank you for your support for 20 years, and we appreciate all that you have done to make sure that women are able to strive on this journey and become the stellar people that we are. But everybody knows, in closing, that Yolanda is always going to say to keep hope alive.
Hi, I'm Victoria Roberts. I am the Director of Human Trafficking Programs at the Safe Center Long Island. This position is very near and dear to me because I am a victim of human trafficking. But in my days, it was known as something else. However, I learned about CCF through the director of a women's program that I was volunteering at. It was an alternative to incarceration program. And she understood my desire to further my education, and she told me about CCF. She actually gave me Vivian's personal cell phone number, and I called, and we set up an appointment, and I registered for the program. CCF has helped me through many situations, but one that is most memorable is the fact that when I applied for my bachelor's, I applied at a SUNY college, and I had to check the box. So the box was still on the application at the time, and the staff, I'm not going to name them, they were at CCF, they were really upset, but they talked me through the process, and I now know that that process was happening so that I can share the journey with other women and help them get through the same process. CCF is one of the most necessary components of coming home for women, especially those of us who has lost so much, you know, and those losses are lost touch, low self-esteem, the loss of educational opportunities, the loss of employment opportunities. And CCF is there to help you through all of that. They have supported me throughout the years with various endeavors. And I now have my master's, and I'm in this position only with the help of CCF and of course the grace of God. CCF is the most necessary component for returning women who want to stay home and who want to better their lives. And that for them and their family, it is most important that they continue to be of service to the women in our communities. Thank you.
We are so honored to be celebrating 20 years of College and Community Fellowship, and I feel particularly privileged to be a part of this celebration. Back in 2013, I was released from prison for the first time, and when I came home, I tried to get an education, and I couldn't. The felony box prevented me from enrolling. I went back to prison, which was predictable. And then when I was in prison this time, I started going to college. Something had to change, and college is what changed for me. And I've started to appreciate the value of education and what it could mean for me, for my son. And I really decided that I wanted more. So as I was planning my release, I relocated to New York City, and that was a fight to relocate to New York City so that I could continue my education. And what brought me to New York City was College and Community Fellowship, knowing that there was, knowing that there was help out there that was gender responsive. Almost everything out there is designed for men. And it gave me a hope that I could have a different kind of life. And so when I came home, I immediately came to CCF. Angie Diaz was my counselor. And through a lot of ups and downs and trials, she helped get me into college. And it did change my life. And then several months later, I started to work for CCF as part of the recruitment team for academic services. And it is such a privilege to be able to work with these women and know that the benefits of this education for what we do here is going to change their life too. And not just their life, but the life of their families, their community. And it's a different kind of future. And for me, it's making all the difference. And I don't have my degree finished yet with CCF. When the pandemic hit, it was very difficult for me to transition to online learning. And my counselor was right there for me. And again, that made all the difference. I learned I don't have to be a 4.0 student to be a success. And that was probably the most valuable lesson that I could have gotten from that semester. But I keep going. I'm still pursuing my dreams, and it is an incredible honor to be motivated every day by the women who are also taking the next step in their life to build the future that they envision for themselves.
Thank you all. We're reminded of Maya Angelou's wisdom. I go forth alone. I stand as 10,000. Your stories represent hundreds of women whose lives have been impacted by CCF. We continue the journey through the milestones that CCF has reached over the years. 6 years into its founding, CCF set key leadership in place.
The work of CCF gained momentum in 2007, attracting grants from the New York Women's Foundation and the Helena Rubinstein Foundation. This is when the New York Times took notice and did a full profile of one of CCF's star students, Mickey Hidalgo, followed by a Daily News profile on Vivian Nixon. In 2008, finally, the public discourse around the relationship between access to education and the rise in prison populations began to take shape. The importance of education entered the reentry space, and CCF collaborated with others to take on the issue of college access for incarcerated students and banning the box for college applicants.
It's each of these building blocks and milestones through the years that sets the course for what's to come. Our next performance is a real treat. They've been the soundtrack for the moment after forming in the wake of the 2017 Women's March. The Resistance Revival Chorus is a collective of more than 60 women and non-binary singers who join together to breathe joy and song into the resistance, to uplift and center women's voices, and to sing protest songs in tribute to the historical importance of music in the protest movement. Let's welcome Resistance Revival Chorus.
This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Oh, this strength that I have, this strength that I have, this strength that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have. Oh, yeah. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have. Oh, yeah. The world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Oh, this love that I have, this love that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This love that I have. Oh, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that this love that I have, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Singing, the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Oh, this pride that I have, this pride that I have, this pride that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This pride that I have. I said the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that this pride that I have, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. All this peace that I have, oh, yeah. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give me my peace that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. Won't you sing about peace? This peace that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. All this joy that I have, this joy that I have, this joy that I have. Oh, yeah, now, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have. I said the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that this joy it away. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it and the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it and the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away.
Resistance Revival Chorus believes in the words written by the poet Toy Darracott when she wrote, "Joy is an act of resistance." We believe in the words of Mr. Harry Belafonte, who said, "When the movement is strong, the music is strong." We sing to revive the hearts of those who fight for social justice, and we sing together for freedom.
Thank you to the fabulous Resistance Revival Chorus. Every time I hear those voices, I feel renewed, and I'm reminded of the words of Harry Belafonte. When the movement is strong, the music is strong. With those words in our hearts, let's continue tonight's program. We're halfway through CCF's living timeline tonight. By 2009, CCF's work had expanded and grown far beyond their early humble beginnings.
CCF received its first six-figure multi-year grant from the Robin Hood Foundation in 2009. This grant was catalytic. It helped CCF move into its own office space and install a state-of-the-art data collection system. Other foundations followed, including the David Rockefeller Foundation. Under the leadership of Maria Santangelo, the academic support team worked hard and fine-tuned the program model, increasing its capacity and the amount of services it offered to women who needed tools to help them succeed. Vivian became a fellow of the Aspen Institute's Ascend program. Here, she gained insight on bringing a multi-generational lens to CCF's work. Now, everything at CCF includes children and families.
I'm sure many of you at home are nodding and remembering your first visit to Riverside Drive and all that's happened in the 10 years since. Anyone who has helped build from the ground up knows the blood, sweat, and tears it takes to bring a dream to reality. Tonight, we get the incredible opportunity to celebrate 20 years, as we work to dismantle our criminal legal system and provide opportunities for women to thrive. We need the leadership and vision of CCF to light the path. It's really going to take all of us. We invite you to lift up this work. You can make a gift now by texting CCF20 to 44321. We all know women make it happen. Women are at the forefront of our movements, our policies, and driving the change we want to see. And Vivian Nixon and Dominique Morgan are leading the way for all of us. Vivian is Executive Director and an alumna of College and Community Fellowship. Vivian joined the CCF community in 2001 as an undergraduate student shortly after a 3-year prison sentence and was appointed Executive Director in 2006. Dominique Morgan is an award-winning artist, activist, TEDx speaker, and the Executive Director of Black and Pink. Dominique has combined her lived experience of being formerly incarcerated with a decade of change-making artistry, advocacy, and background in public health. She's an NAACP Freedom Fighter Award recipient and is currently completing a capstone project for studies in Georgetown University System-Involved LGBTQ Youth Scholar Program. Let's welcome Vivian Nixon and Dominique Morgan.
Hi, Dominique. How are you?
I'm good, Miss Vivian. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm excited and a little awed to be celebrating 20th anniversary of College and Community Fellowship. And I've been involved with the organization for 19 of those 20 years. And for 16, I've been executive director. And when I thought about who I would want to have a conversation with during this celebration, a lot of people came to mind. I've met some amazing people in doing this work. But deep impressions are not as many. And you are one of the people who has made a deep impression on me because it helped me learn something. Watching the work of Black and Pink and how you have elevated it, made people think deeply about who we're excluding when we talk about the need for a complete transformation of the way we do justice in America, all the way from policing to prosecution to sentencing, the ways people are treated in correctional facilities to the extent that they exist at this time. We have not elevated some of the people who are most harmed by those processes. And you brought that to my attention. CCF believes in community. We believed in trauma-informed service delivery. And I know that the work of Black and Pink is very rooted in community and very rooted in trauma. I'd like you to just talk to me a little bit about how you came to Black and Pink, how you mustered up what I think is a tremendous amount of courage to approach the work the way that I see you approaching it, without fear, without reservation, without holding back the truth, because I want to model that in my work.
Well, thank you for saying that. I think I was thinking about a lot when you were speaking. 20 years ago, I was entering the prison system. I was 18. This time in the year 2000, I was in a county jail in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I was up against about 30 felony charges. Ended up being sentenced to 8 to 16 years in Nebraska's adult system after coming up through the youth system. 15 years ago, Black and Pink was established by Jason Leiden in Boston, Massachusetts. And then I always think about where I was at. Okay, 2005. Well, I was in a supermax prison fighting to finish my culinary degree in one of the last college programs that they had. And the requirement was for me to work in the kitchen and then go to school at night. So I was the lead kitchen chef. I was working about 12 hours a day, and I was making, at the most, I made $3.78 a day. Mm. But my father always said to me, he used to say, if you can either take care of the sick or if you can feed people, you're always gonna be okay. And so I was like, well, blood and that thing is in my ministry, so I better learn how to cook and feed people. And because really this is kind of the zenith of what I'm gonna be accomplished based on what I've experienced. And so I fought for that associate's degree in culinary management. I fought hard for it. And I remember being very grateful for the opportunity to learn. You asked me, like, where does my approach come from? I think it's because I've kept that desire to learn in me, because I always quote things from my family. My granddaddy, his favorite line was from Arkansas. And I would be like, granddaddy, I can't wait for spring to come. I can't wait for summer to come. And granddaddy's his, baby, live on. That was his answer. Anytime I anticipated something or I wanted something to go faster than it could, he would just, essentially strap in and just enjoy the ride. I tried to engage in that, but I really try to keep my eyes, my ears, my heart as open as possible, because every person that has come in my life has taught me something. And sometimes they're teaching me who I don't want to be. Mm. I reached a point last December where I stopped referring to my incarceration as time I lost, because I refused to give them that narrative around a huge part of my story. No, that was just a time where my learning process wasn't on the campuses that the other kids that I graduated with. We weren't having the same spaces of education, but I was still learning. I was figuring out people and what made people tick and how to have community. I learned to have community on a prison yard of, I'm making the most out of all of my sisters, and there was a group of trans girls in the yard. I'm making the most out of all of us. I'm making $102 a month after taxes. And there's 5 of us, and we have to eat. And because of the Prison Rape Elimination Act, PREA, my other sisters can't get jobs outside of the unit. So we poured in. If I eat, you eat. It was just, it's been, and so it's been that. It's been the being around the Susan Burtons and watching someone take every bit of lived experience and turn it into opportunity for someone else. And at Black and Pink, I will say that Black and Pink has probably benefited me more than I've ever benefited Black and Pink. I detransitioned when I came out of prison. I was released from prison February 16th of 2009. I looked around the world and I didn't see anything that told me that a Black trans woman could be successful or be anything that anybody cared about. And after all that I had went through inside, after losing both of my parents, adopting my youngest sister about 6 months after prison, I just wanted people to see me as valuable, even if I couldn't see it myself. And so I spent the next 11 years going to college, getting these degrees, doing these things, getting these titles. And I got in this job here, and due to Black women like yourself, due to Black women like Susan Burton, and these incredible folks I've been able to connect to in this justice space, it's something about seeing someone use power in a way that they don't have any fear that teaches you not to have fear. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm a huge PBS fan. And watching the people make ice sculptures with the fire, that's what it's like watching you all every day do your work. It's like watching someone take something that you don't even understand how they are turning it into something so beautiful. But you also are watching them wield something that has to be scary for them and would be scary for anyone else, but they put it together and they make something magical. And so I put that into my work at Black and Pink. I started to put it into my life. I started down my road of transitioning again in March of this year, 4 days after my birthday. We opened Lighthouse on February 16th of this year, on the 11-year anniversary of me being released from prison. So all of those things come into kind of my gumbo of my work. But what I can say without question that is the main ingredient is that Black women have poured into me before I knew what pouring into someone was. And that to be in a world where I am in the ranks of women like you, women like Susan Burton, makes me sometimes emotional to the point where I can't really handle it, because it makes me really look at who I am. If people say my name in the same sentence as you all, I sometimes have to challenge how much of the work I need to do on myself still to see me holy. And then I pivot that back to Black and Pink. So it's a mixture of a lot of things, but it's really about being open and understanding that I am put here to learn. And if I'm open to learning, I hope the universe positions me to be able to apply what I've learned, not just for myself, but to change and amplify my community.
You know, it just hearing you talk like this just brings so much to my attention that's so real and that people would never believe. So you're watching us, me, you know, Susan, Deanna Hoskins, so many other powerful women out there doing this work, and thinking, wow, how do I make magic like that? How do I build that ice sculpture? Not knowing that we're looking at you thinking the same thing. Because each of us has that place of vulnerability, right? That is uniquely ours from our experience, our lived trauma, our lived damage from being under the weight of oppression, many different oppressions. I was thinking last night, you know, if I count all the different systems I'm involved in where I am under the weight of oppression or considered less than. I'm less than because I'm Black, because or considered. I don't think I'm less than, but the world treats me as I'm less than because I'm a woman, because I'm Black, because I'm overweight, because I have a physical disability, because I have a criminal record. I mean, the list goes on. And I'm like, how have I survived? Like, how do you survive under that much weight? Right? And then I look at you, and I know what the data says about how trans women are so likely to be subject to all the things that we are now fighting in the streets about. Police brutality, severe abuse within prison systems, job discrimination, discrimination in educational institutions, just this life of erasure, that because you don't fit into a mold, you don't matter. No one does it with ease. This is what I can say without question. If someone is telling you that they're doing this work with ease, and that there are not nights when they are in tears, when they are not torn apart, when it seems like no matter how hard they try, someone has a problem with it, can't please everybody, then they're not telling you the truth. So what I'm hoping is that, by example, people like you, people like me, like Deanna, like Susan, like Hamdia, who is this sweet servant leader, can show other women that your leadership is not diminished by your vulnerability. Your vulnerability is part of your strength. And when I see you being vulnerable, it allows me to be vulnerable.
I think that vulnerability piece is essential to how we build community. I don't think you can make those connections that create transformational experiences and you have those walls up. And that's, I've tried. I would say that, you know, in prison, those were my sisters and I love those girls dearly, but the system had trained me to only let people in so much. Mm-hmm. And then to have those sort of connections to women I've never been in the same space with before. And because of how I allow myself to be open, the relationship feels that transformational, right? It's like there's a switch that happens. And you're right, Ms. Vivian, it also is scary because it means that the possibility for you to experience hurt or harm is higher. I think as folks who, between the data, between the people around us, between what our mamas and our grandmamas told us, we know that we're going to experience harm. We kind of just be like, I'd rather try than not try at all. And that's not, and I don't think that's being, you know, throwing care to the wind. I think that's saying that I would rather gamble on my people than not step up to the table at all. I think that's what my work is every day. I don't 100% think that everything that I attempt to do is going to be perfect. I don't want it to be perfect. I have this huge fear of people seeing me as kind of like a North Star, because I'm like, listen, there are days that my light is not given that. and I don't want to do that. Not only because I feel like everyone should be their own North Star. I think your dreams or spirit should lead you. But also that doesn't allow me to be my own North Star. I feel like I have to be that for everyone else. Mm-hmm. So that vulnerability for me is something that I don't want to lose. I actually spend a lot of time in therapy talking about how I maintain it. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, that'll be like, oh, if I could just cut off this part, I could move like this. I could do the work like this. It'll be so simple. And as you said before, Ms. Vivian, if it's simple, it's not authentic. And if it's not authentic, it's not impactful. And if it's not impactful, I don't want to be involved in it.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. You know, we're in really tumultuous times, right? Seems like the world is going crazy. You get, pandemic, you've got unrest, you've got an awakening. People say that we're in a period of reckoning. No, reckoning is when you're actually correcting the problem. We're in a period of awareness that a reckoning needs to happen with regard to our historical, structural, systemic racism and all other kind of isms that we have allowed to be the undercurrent of how the society runs and operates. And we're hoping that that's about to change. And it has to change really no matter what happens on November 4th, right? We're a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization. We're going to do our work no matter who's in charge.
Amen.
But, you know, depending on who's in charge, our work will look different, right? And we will have to have a level of courage that we may not yet have had to display. And people are going to have our backs. When it comes to being a Black woman, a Black trans woman in this work, we have allies who support our work and who right now are very publicly saying, we want to lift you up. We want to help you. We want to support this work. What is it you think that we could say or do to help them support us better? What are the things that trouble you about our relationship with our allies?
I think the biggest thing that if your desire is allyship and essentially servant leadership, like engagement, really be open to what the folks you want to be in community with are telling you they need. And ask with the intention of following through. Know that you may not have, I think, and we also need to stratify our allyship. Like if you're like, yo, this is how I show up by writing a check or so on and so forth. As a nonprofit leader, child, I'm never gonna poo-poo on $1. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I wanna know you believe in the values of the work I'm doing. I wanna know that, I wanna know that when I look at how you live the rest of your life or what events you show up to or who you uplift, that it doesn't feel like you're tokenizing me with your dollar, that you're tokenizing my work with your dollar. Mm-hmm. And so I think asking what are the needs and being open to meet those needs, and also really challenging yourself in all the ways you can show up, because we don't get to silo the parts of us that show up. It's all of ourselves in this. And that's what they love, right? Is that we go hard, we give them our full selves. I want them to put as much on the line. Put as much on the line. Show me that this matters to you, because that's, as we look at this awakening and we go into a time of reckoning, as you said so eloquently, we have to do this work in radical ways that we've never done it before. And one of the missing links has been the ways that allies show up and maintain their promise to us and build community with us. So those are things that I'm looking forward to seeing. And I think COVID activated some of that. And I'm excited to see how folks can continue to transform how we change our communities by engaging in community in the first place.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I'm hoping that allies begin to understand that while they may have these very brilliant strategic plans that they do, and may have an idea of how to make change happen, that sometimes change happens in unexpected ways. Yes, and what I want most from our allies is to trust us. To trust that an investment in us is an investment in progress that may not look exactly like the way your theoretical theory of change looks in your strategic plan. But an investment in us is definitely an investment in positive change. And, you know, when you look at Silicon Valley, folks in Silicon Valley are allowed to fail. People invest in them all the time, and a venture may fail, and then they'll start another venture. Give us room to breathe and room to fail. And then here's the thing that has gotten to me over these 20 years. Don't punish us when we succeed. Yes. Don't say, oh, well, you're so successful now, you don't need us anymore. I beg to differ. Indeed. The more successful I am, the more I need allies. Indeed. And I'm glad that we're allies. We need our brothers who are in this work to be our allies. We need people who look like us to be allies and people who don't look like us to be allies. I learned through this training I went through, that's a communications training, there is a percentage of the population you're never going to get. They're never going to really embrace your vision, your direction, your need to be seen as completely part of this society, but also be valued for how different you are. It's like the erasure of the color line is not my goal.
Yes.
I don't want color blindness. Please recognize my Blackness.
Yes, indeed.
I love it. There's something about it that I would never want to give up. So I'm not asking for a colorblind society. I'm asking for a society where we all appreciate who we are for who we are. So as we move forward in this work for the next 20 years, I mean, somebody will be doing it. Hopefully I'll be knitting or something.
You got a book of poetry to work on. You got to, I want this book on my desk.
That's right, finishing my book of poems and my memoir. Hopefully as we move forward, we can imagine a world where incarceration is just not the normal thing, where when people break the rules of our society, and they will, that there's other ways to hold them accountable in community, to give victims the healing that they need, but also recognize that the person who committed a crime, I can almost without doubt say there's healing needed there as well. What do you think are the major things? Give me two major things that need to happen before we get to that place. There's a lot of talk about abolitionist movements, defunding the police. All of that is the goal, but what are the steps to get there?
I think we have to start being comfortable and make it the norm to create any initiative centered around the most oppressed population in which you want to make sure that you're serving. Because if you are centering whatever you're creating around the most oppressed population, everyone else is inherently going to benefit from it. So as you mentioned many times, if we're looking at, I tell folks, I look at the First Step Act as something that's beautiful, but I've yet to see a Black trans woman walk outside of a prison with that pomp and circumstance. And you can't tell me that those folks could not be impacted by this. Why? Because it wasn't centered around them. They weren't at the forefront of the thought. Mm-hmm. And so folks who are absolutely on the spectrum of oppression, but need to recognize where they're at on the spectrum, we need to feel comfortable centering those populations, in my opinion. And then the other thing is that we have to recognize that a singular experience around liberation is like a gallon of milk that only lasts a couple of weeks in the refrigerator. Stop letting a singular experience of liberation be our finish line. I'm not saying a singular need for liberation is wrong. I'm saying that should be your first step, because I believe you can't do a community definition of liberation if you haven't had a taste of what it looks like for you. But stop letting that be our finish line, because that's what they bank on. I will give this much to this one, it will shut this one up, and then they can be used to shut other people up. Oh, not all of us don't have. I have. Well, girl, it's 15 of y'all and there's 15 million of us out here. So what's it giving? Stop thinking that one of us having it is enough. I live a life where I don't even allow myself to enjoy something if the people I love the most don't have it. It was about a year ago. I bought an Apple Watch for me and a friend, and a few other friends in our circles didn't have one. And I remember just throughout the year, birthdays and holidays, I bought them all a watch, because I wanted us all to be there. And it seems for some people it's awkward, but I don't really feel comfortable enjoying something in a way where I feel like everyone around me can't explain what it tastes like. So I think those two things can be huge activators to the sort of transformation that we want to see happen.
Yes, that African concept of Ubuntu, right?
Yes.
I am you, you are me. We are together one thing. And if we can feel that way about one another, our communities will change. The last thing I wanted to bring up, the last conversation we had we did a live panel, which I loved the other week. That was a lot of fun. We talked about education and the various ways that education can be empowering, but that there's also, there's discrimination and suppression within the educational structures, because education is based in ideology that's rampant with white supremacy, right? And that is changing, and it's changing more and more, so that our history and our representations are more evident in the academy. But what part does education play in a person's ability to lead in a movement for change that is as necessary and timely as this movement to get rid of white supremacy, to get rid of systemic oppression in our justice system?
I believe that we, on that amazing panel, it was maybe Terrell that brought up first, like, you know, doing the work to affirm all sorts of education is valid, right? From grandma's knee to your PhD program. I think that's important. But Miriam Kaba talks about this idea of you have to stratify like what your educational scope looks like. And I think we started this conversation because folks were saying like these initiatives around education feel reformist and they're not abolition based. I say to folks all the time, okay, let's say you want to blow up the building. You better have an engineer in your team if you want to burn it all down and you really want it to come down. Because honey, you walk to the corner of a brick building and just light a fire, there's no guarantee it's coming down, sis. Right? So you have your understanding and you need to expand it. I don't believe that we can undo this. I don't. These are Dominique's opinions. I don't believe that I can undo the structures that have been placed on me and not get an inside view of what they know. One of the biggest things I would tell folks when they walk into the prison, learn that rule book front to back, because that's what they use. If this is what they use to oppress us, you be able to recite it back to them, because then you can either defend yourself or you can disarm them in a way to where they won't even try it. For me, it's the same out here in this world. I walk into so many rooms and I know that I have to pull that tool out of my kid. Mm-hmm. And what I can say is that the more that we create spaces in these institutions, these educational institutions, that really support this what we're saying, that our people can be there and they can thrive there, I think we're going to see a huge shift. I also think we have to stop believing that education isn't for us, that education is like the tool of the white man or what have you. Like, we have, our foundation of Blackness is on this idea that we are learned and we are inspirational and you know, looking at the stars and figuring out how to make things and create things. It may not have been on paper, but our brilliance has always been there. And so stop believing that there's a betrayal to our community, a betrayal to our Blackness by wanting to know more in a world where sometimes the way to know more is to go through those spaces. And so a organization like yours allows people who desperately want that to have it. And for me, that's abolition at its core. They see that as a tool for their liberation. Systems of oppression are attempting to prevent them from having that tool for their liberation. And you, a Black woman, said, well, I'm gonna come up with the answer to make sure they get that tool because they want it. Not because I'm telling them they have to have it. I'm saying if you want it, no one should tell you you can't have it, or you shouldn't have to lay up at night thinking, how can I possibly get it? If that isn't dismantling, I don't know what is. So I wanna salute you, Queen, for being a trailblazer and for being a light for so many of us, and for giving us, for people who have said education is a tool for their liberation, for being someone who has poured into others' liberation every day in your work. Not many people can say that. And so I appreciate you. I am so thankful to be able to hold space with you and to say, you know, I have your phone number saved in my phone. Because without you, without Susan Burton, without Andrea James, there really is no potential for Dominique Morgan to hold the spaces that I'm in and the spaces I hope to be in. So congratulations on 20 years. And I'm excited to see what's next.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to see what's next for Dominique Morgan. I'm excited to see us elevate more and more the need to work with our trans sisters in this movement and to make sure that they are safe wherever they are, whatever they're doing, and to just elevate the violence that is perpetrated against trans women of color just because of who they are and for no other reason. And help us, please, be partners in that work to the extent that we need to be and to be better at it. We're here for you.
Well, thank you. And I'm so glad to be in community with you and all of these incredible Black folks and change makers who have stepped up and held hands and sat shoulder to shoulder with me. It brings me a lot of peace. That idea that I'm alone in it slowly continues to evaporate. And it's because of how y'all continue to show up. So thank you. And it means so much.
Thank you, Vivian and Dominique. I'm inspired and convinced that with women at the helm, anything is possible. Now, we may not have heard the full extent of Vivian's leadership, so let me take a moment to remind us of some of the accomplishments that she drove for CCF.
In 2012, Vivian was honored with the John Jay Medal for Justice for her leadership at College and Community Fellowship. The Theater for Social Change gave its first full-length performance at the Imagining America conference. CCF got a surprise call from the South American Embassy in 2008. Sibusiso Ndebele, Correctional Services Minister of South Africa, was in the United States. He was visiting reentry programs and he had read about CCF. He wanted to learn more about educational programming for people who had been imprisoned. The entire South African delegation came to see CCF for a roundtable conversation. Generous support from the Ford Foundation expands CCF's capacity to interact with other organizations across the country. Vivian joined a national steering committee of directly impacted leaders. Together, they worked with the Obama administration's Interagency Reentry Council. They directly influenced several initiatives, including Second Chance Pell.
This is long, dedicated work, and CCF has stood alongside others to bring the collective vision into reality. Let's take a moment now to honor and recognize 4 incredible individuals who have made distinct contributions over the years. This honoree has been at the helm of JustLeadershipUSA as the president and CEO since 2018. A nationally recognized leader, Deanna Hoskins has been committed to the movement for racial and social justice, working alongside those most impacted by marginalization for over 2 decades. Before JLUSA, Ms. Hoskins was at the Department of Justice under the Obama administration, where she served as a senior policy advisor, providing national leadership on criminal justice policy, training, technical assistance, and information. A true champion and visionary, let's welcome Deanna Hoskins.
Thank you so much, and many thanks to College and Community Fellowship. I am proud to say that the relationship between Just Leadership USA and CCF is closer than it's ever been before, and I am honored to accept the Barbara Martson Visionary Award. As CCF's founder, Barbara was truly a visionary and realized that incarceration is not rehabilitative, it is punitive. She created CCF as a way to empower directly impacted women, and I am proud to follow in her footsteps and continue the work she laid to uplift marginalized voices. CCF's 20 years of enabling women with criminal justice involvement to earn their college degree shows the power of leadership in action and what happens when we elevate and educate the voices of directly impacted people. We already saw what happens when directly impacted voices are elevated over the summer, when the House passed a clean reinstatement of Pell Grants for incarcerated people in July. That vote came as part of a focus campaign led by CCF, who have been leading and demanding that reinstatement for the past 15 years under the leadership of Vivian Nixon. We must keep the pressure on the US Senate to pass this as well, as access to education is a fundamental right that everyone should be privileged to, including those inside correctional facilities across the US. Let me be clear, access to education in this country is not yet equal. Denying access is something the United States has done to marginalized people since slavery and Jim Crow. The continuation of marginalizing and the denying of our opportunities. Why? Because access to opportunities breaks the shackles of oppression and provides a pathway to self-sufficiency. With the tools to reach our potential through education, Black and brown people can and will rewrite the policies that have served to marginalize us. Just us. Access to education for directly impacted people is vital to all human values. I am grateful to CCF's partnership as we move into 2021 and beyond. But we know it will take decades to undo the harmful impacts of the legacy of slavery and discrimination in this country. These are the things that have shaped every part of the US, from the courts to housing to education to employment to mass incarceration. Structural racism exists because marginalized voices have been kept away from the rooms and the tables that control our lives. But now, together, we are building our own table so that we can create the systems that benefit not just us, but everyone. From decarcerating in the United States to divesting from law enforcement to investing to build healthy, vibrant, sustaining communities. We are showing that directly impacted people are best positioned to make the necessary changes. And so our work is not done. As I receive this award, we are weeks away from the most important election of our lifetime, and we must continue to do the work to elevate, educate, and empower the recently re-enfranchised voters in places like Kentucky, Florida, and North Carolina, so they and their families can be a vital voice in our demands for equity and justice. Our work continues, and I am proud to share that work with CCF. I am deeply honored to receive this award, and congratulations again, CCF, for your 20-year anniversary, and a special congratulations to Vivian Nixon on completing your master's degree and being the role model for so many women, including me. Thank you.
The Honorable Jonathan Lippman, former Chief Judge of New York and Chief Judge of the New York Court of Appeals, the state's highest court, is of counsel in the New York office of Latham and Watkins, LLP, and a member of the firm's litigation and trial department. He provides strategic counsel to clients of New York law and appellate matters nationwide, and is a leader of the firm's pro bono practice. As the state's Chief Justice, he strengthened the state's indigent criminal defense system, addressed the systemic causes of wrongful convictions, created human trafficking courts across New York State, and led efforts to reform New York's juvenile justice, bail, and pretrial justice systems. In 2008, Judge Lippman received the William H. Rehnquist Award for Judicial Excellence, presented each year by the nation's Chief Justice to a state court judge who exemplifies the highest level of judicial excellence, integrity, fairness, and professional ethics. Welcome now, Judge Lippman.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm thrilled to be honored by the College and Community Fellowship's 20th anniversary gala. You are the first organization in the country to be working at the intersection of the criminal justice system, higher ed, and women's issues, and one that gallantly and steadfastly supports institutional and systemic change. One of the great passions of my life has been to ensure that those intersecting with the criminal justice system be treated with humanity and dignity and respect. And it has been one of the highlights of my life to be the chair of the Rikers Commission and to have appointed so many incarcerated, formerly incarcerated persons to that commission and to attack the systemic problems of our criminal justice system at its head. Rikers Island is an accelerator of human misery, a human abomination, and a stain on the soul of New York City. And no group of Rikers victims has been more impacted than women. And as a result, nothing could be more important than your work to give impacted women the skills and expertise to become advocates in their communities. Advocates with the life experience and lessons learned to provide insight into the systemic and structural realities that contribute to crime, poverty, and lack of education in the United States. By providing opportunities to women, regardless of criminal convictions, you go greatly and you contribute so importantly to repairing our world and changing the value system of a society and a criminal justice system that is flawed and requires new guideposts that promote a society where all human beings are treated equally, where justice is not about your gender, the color of your skin, or the money in your pocket. This is what college and community fellowship is all about. And this is what I have dedicated my judicial and post-judicial career to achieving. Let us not stop exercising the pressure and all of the leverage we have to close Rikers Island once and for all. And today, more than ever, this is so important. We know that Black lives do matter and that our countries, our cities, and our communities are being torn apart by racial injustice in the criminal justice system. And Rikers is a symbol of everything that's wrong with the criminal justice system. We must work together to make the ideal of equal justice a reality each and every day for every woman and every human being in our communities. Congratulations to Vivian and to CCF on your 20th anniversary gala. You do me great honor tonight, and I am so proud to be associated with all of you, with your mission and your unparalleled accomplishments. Thank you so much.
Our next honoree has inspired many with her powerful story. Susan Burton is widely recognized as a leader in the national criminal justice reform movement. Following the tragic accidental death of her 5-year-old son, Susan's world collapsed. Without support, she turned to drugs and alcohol, which led to nearly 20 years revolving through cycles of incarceration. It was from that personal experience that she founded a New Way of Life Reentry Project in 1998, dedicating her life to helping others break the cycle of incarceration. Since A New Way of Life's founding, more than 1,200 women and children have found safety and support in 9 reentry homes. Over 400 women have been reunited with their children. Susan is co-founder of All of Us or None and the Formerly Incarcerated and Convicted People's Movement, both national grassroots civil rights movements comprised of formerly incarcerated individuals, their families, and community allies. Susan has earned numerous awards and honors for her work. In 2010, she was named a CNN Top 10 Hero and received the prestigious Citizen Activist Award from the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Her 2017 memoir, Becoming Miss Burton, received a 2018 NAACP Image Award for outstanding literary work in the category of biography, autobiography. A legend among us, let's welcome Susan Burton.
So Vivian, I am so honored to be with you here tonight for the 20th anniversary of College and Community Fellowship. It's remarkable the work that you have done to support women to have opportunities to further their lives, opportunities after incarceration to become a vibrant and productive part of the community. I'm honored to be recognized here tonight and to be with everyone in celebration of 20 continuous and wonderful years of accomplishments of college and community fellowships. I want to say thank you and continue the work We're with you, we're working with you, we're pulling with you, and we're just really, really proud and happy to be here tonight. Thanks so much, and onward, onward.
Our next honoree has over 25 years of experience working on issues facing women in prison. Hamdia Cooks Abdullah is the Administrative Director for Legal Services for Prisoners with Children. Having served 20 years in the federal prison system, while incarcerated, Hamdia led Muslim women who were incarcerated in the struggle to honor their religious practices, including headgear and fasting. She was also a key organizer for Black culture workshops at the Federal Correctional Institution in Dublin, California, for over 15 years, and is the former director of the California Coalition for Women Prisoners. Hamdia holds a BA degree from Columbia College. She published an article entitled Islam in Prison Legal News, and an essay profiling the lives of 3 women in prison in the book Schooling the Generations in the Politics of Prison. Please join me in welcoming Hamdia Cooks Abdullah.
Congratulations to the College and Community Fellowship for 20 years of service to the hundreds of women seeking a college education. I want to thank CCF and particularly Vivian Nixon for the honor of being recognized with the Leadership in Service Award. What Vivian has done with CCF, I dreamed of during my 20 years incarcerated. The value of an educated mind is something my mother and my aunt always said can never be taken from us. My mother and my aunt, who was like a mother to me, were both college-educated women. I came from parents and relatives that regarded education as a primary and important part of our lives. My sister and I were encouraged to become teachers, which I believe our family considered the best vocation on earth. I grew up as a rebel. I didn't want to become a teacher simply because I didn't want to follow someone else's path. But after so many years of rebellion and in so many ways of my life, I understand the importance of what a teacher is to all human life. And I also understand that all of us are teachers to some extent. My current work at LSPC allows me to be a partner and support a leader in this movement in ways that I could not have done alone. I believe the success of our decades of work has been the result of belief. Please continue to believe that you can succeed in anything you believe in. Be true and honest to yourself and those you care about. Thank you again for this opportunity, and I look forward to seeing the continued success of CCF. Thank you.
These luminaries continue to light the way. We extend gratitude and deep acknowledgement to each of these honorees for what they have done for all of our communities. This work needs our continued support. These last 20 years have driven seismic changes in our communities and set the model for what's possible. Thank you especially to those who have already dug deep to support this work. I hope that this event added to your conviction that the resources have made a difference in real people's lives and deepened your resolve to continue to dig deep. Please support the continued work of CCF by texting CCF20 to 44321. The last 5 years have held powerful wins for the CCF community, from new legislation to growing programs and services. Let's take a look at what's been accomplished.
2015 was a busy year. CCF hosted a regional conference in collaboration with national partners. Several members of the Federal Reentry Council attended. They spoke to directly impact the people who came from throughout the Northeast. CCF enhanced its development and communications capacity by bringing on Melanie Steinhardt to run a program to raise funds and raise our visibility. Vivian Nixon became a frequent guest on MSNBC. Founder Barbara Martinsons was serenaded with a musical performance by the Theater for Social Change during CCF's 15th anniversary gala, to the tune of Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. CCF published Homegrown Social Capital, a report about the multi-generational benefits of education in partnership with the Center for the Institutional and Social Change at Columbia Law School. The Ascend Project sponsored this report. CCF's work with multiple partners of the EIO Coalition persuaded the State University of New York to ban the box on its admissions application in 2016. Senator Brian Schatz introduced the REAL Act, turning the coalition's attention toward Pell. CCF began to grow its board of directors, bringing on new energy and creativity. CCF launched Thrive in 2017. Thrive is a technical assistance program conceived by Letitia Boyd while she was an academic counselor. Today, Thrive supports the successful reintegration of hundreds of criminal justice involved people nationwide. CCF also received its first major award from New York City Council in 2017. And then they joined the ATI Coalition. In 2018, CCF launched Women Influencing Systems and History, WISH, an organizing and legislative advocacy training program for women impacted by incarceration. With multiple op-eds on issues such as the First Step Act and access to education for system-impacted students, CCF garnered policymakers and philanthropies' attention. This inspired support from new philanthropists, including the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, the Noble Foundation, and Orange is the New Black's Pussy Washington Fund. The Criminal Justice Initiative of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office made a major investment in CCF's mentoring, career advancement, and multi-gen programs. This support facilitated bringing on a deputy executive director, Les Hayden, to help build an operations infrastructure to match the organization's development. CCF launched the Career Advancement Program in 2019, followed by a formalized multi-generational program. WISH continued to gain popularity with women who have gone through CCF's program and other women who wanted to learn to advocate at the local, state, and federal levels on various issues. Under Stephanie Bazell's leadership, CCF's policy and advocacy team collaborated with the Brennan Center to organize a briefing on Pell Grants for incarcerated students. The largest room on Capitol Hill was filled with advocates. In partnership with leaders of 8 other organizations, Vivian helped coordinate Justice Votes, the first ever presidential candidate town hall performed before an audience composed completely of people impacted by the criminal justice system. Founder Barbara Martinsons retired from her many years of devotion in December of 2019. Today, CCF expands eligibility, making college and career programs available to women with any direct criminal justice involvement. CCF launched peer mentoring programs called Uplift Mentoring. CCF launched Justice Votes New York, and CCF created #EquityIsJustice, a vehicle to move our policy and advocacy work forward.
The sky's the limit to what this organization has done and will continue to do, and the work continues. We want to thank you for joining us here tonight. We hope you are inspired by the work and the power of this organization. I know I am transformed just by listening to the stories shared here, but we aren't done yet. To help us close out, I want to welcome our keynote speaker, someone who needs little introduction, a justice warrior in their own right, our 2020 keynote speaker.
Hi, my name is Opal Tometi, and it's my profound honor to stand with the CCF, with Reverend Vivian Nixon, and with all the incredible women whose persistence and courage have defined the critical work of ensuring that all of us not only have a right to be educated, a right to wrap ourselves, body, mind, and spirit around our dreams, but we know that when women are provided this space, the world wins. Because when we walk through a door, we hold it open. And if need be, we kick it open for all the women, all the girls who would otherwise be closed out. In 2013, when I co-founded Black Lives Matter and began speaking with communities across the country, I would say wherever I went, not just that Black Lives Matter, but that all Black lives mattered. There was a reason for that. I knew that there were those in our community who believed otherwise. Some have actually said, Black lives matter only if they fit a certain profile. A Black life mattered if they were a straight Black life or a middle-class Black life. A Black life mattered if they lived a life without a criminal conviction. We profiled ourselves, just as is done with women. Women should be treated with equity. We've been told if we are considered deserving or polite or respectable by those in power. And while those words may not be used, we know that they are the heart of the actions that drive too many policymakers and frankly, too many advocates. If that were not true, then the statistics that tell us that organizations dedicated to ensuring women and girls receive only 1.6% of all giving would not be true. Of the nearly $70 billion given by foundations to nonprofits, half of 1% is dedicated to women of color. And there is no data yet available on what those numbers look like when it comes to women who have been incarcerated, more than 2 million of whom will come home from prison or jail this year. Even still, with the fewest resources, CCF and organizations like CCF that love all women continue to find ways out of nowhere, which is why I am here tonight. In some respects, I'm here to congratulate all that you have accomplished, to bask in the glow of the mighty light that you who both lead the work at CCF and you who benefit from it, and then lead the work beyond CCF's doors have provided. But more than anything, I am here to say, enough is enough. I am here to call everyone within reach of my voice to action on behalf of the people we know are the leaders of this nation. Women who have gone unacknowledged too often, but women who have been unstoppable. Women who have refused to live in cages, literal and figurative, that others built for them. Women who have torn down the cages for other women. Because what we know, what cannot often be said, is that every movement for justice is led by women. If you say climate change, I say Rihanna Gunn Wright and the Green New Deal. If you say you believe in us being intersectional in our work, then you have to believe in the work of Kimberly Crenshaw. And if you believe that education matters, then you have to say the name of Reverend Vivian Nixon. And you have to say the names of Ava Lise, Maria, Taylor, Letitia, Stephanie, Stacy, Angela, Victoria, Janelle, Bridget, Whitney, and Lisa. And for good measure, after that, you can say the names of the men who are their accomplices in our freedom: Les, Tim, Chris, and Raphael. And if we're going to have a world where all of our daughters are loved and safe and able to embrace the full measure of their gifts they were born with, then we have to start by telling the truth. And the truth is that education is foundational to ensuring a just world. And the truth is that CCF is foundational to getting us closer to that day when all of our daughters' lives matter. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Vivian Nixon, Executive Director of College and Community Fellowship. I've held that position for 16 years, but I first started here in 2001 as a student. That's when I met our founder, Barbara Martinsons, and our founding board members. One of our founding board members, Peter Beck-Stansky, is our chair today. Our work is only possible because of people like Barbara and Peter and the rest of our board of directors who are so committed to this work. And of course, the wonderful team that works at CCF with our students and our partners here in New York and around the country. They are hardworking, dedicated, and talented. And because all of you who are celebrating with us tonight are committed supporters, you believe in our work, you believe in the women we work with, and you believe in the values that are at the core of everything we do: racial justice, equity, access to higher education, and economic justice. The donors who have been with us from the very beginning, wow, that's a lot of commitment. I'm thinking of Fern Khan. She's an educator, and she's been donating since 2003. She's a fierce advocate for the restoration of Pell to incarcerated students. Max Kenner, who is a force to be reckoned with on his own, first donated in 2009. But I met Max way back in 2003 when I first began to think about coming to work for CCF. He's a thought partner and a leader. He participated in our 20 Years, 20 Stories campaign. And if you haven't seen those 20 stories, please visit our website. You'll be inspired by every one of them. Phyllis and Orlando Rodriguez are big supporters of public education, and they started our very first City University of New York scholarships. And they have been doing that for 10 years. And even again today, contributed to this event. They support women every year at graduation, and those scholarships make a difference. We're proud to be nurturing the next generation of philanthropists too. Many of our CCF students and alumni become donors. That's amazing. They support our work, and they're supporting their sisters at the same time, even as they navigate their own pathways into college and careers and into leadership. Anyone can be a philanthropist, including all of you. And they demonstrate that every year with their gifts. A big thank you to those monthly and quarterly donors. We couldn't survive without you. Thank you so much. And we would not be where we are today without the countless foundations who have seen us through all of the other wonderful organizations in the world. They found us. I just want to highlight a few of them who mean a great deal to me. The New York Women's Foundation was one of the first to invest in college and community fellowship. Anna Oliveria, your counsel and mentorship has meant a great deal. The Ford Foundation, Art for Justice, Ascendium, they're not just foundations, there are people there who I trust and who have counseled me at times when I wasn't sure that this organization was going to make 20 years. Thank you, Tanya, Darren, Helena, Toya, Katie Brown, Emily at the Tao Foundation, all the folks at City Council, the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. Ali, you're a friend and a program officer. New York Community Trust, thank you, Sean. Thank you to the Noble Foundation and to Laughing Gull. All of you have meant a great deal to us. Our annual report is coming out in just a few weeks. If you look at our annual report, you will see a complete list of donors. I wish I could name all of you tonight because you are equally important. Whether you give a monthly gift of $5 or an annual gift of $500,000, we could not do this work without you. 20 years from now, the people that we work with, the women who are getting college degrees, who are learning public policy and learning leadership skills, will be leading some other movements to make this world a better place. And that's why we exist. Because the problems we're working on today, we want them to be gone in 20 years. But don't worry, because our graduates and alumni will be working on the next set of problems that this world faces. Thank you for joining us tonight.